It hasn't always been like this, but it has gotten progressively worse over time. In my own lifetime, I would say from 1966, when some young men had the power of the gun and they took over power and began to rule by decree. You can say that some of our traditional values that kept Nigerians, or the populations that made up Nigeria, that kept us going for centuries, we began to lose some of them from the beginning of the colonial rule. When some of the best leaders of communities were sent on exile, and people that could be described as scoundrels were picked by the colonialists, those that they could use against their own people, those that they could ask to sell their mothers, they were the ones, often, not in every case, that the colonialists picked. And from then on, we have seen degeneration in values. And you know that this is part of what Chinua Achebe reflected on in Things Fall Apart, because he decided to title his book, that W.B. Yeats poem, the falconer does not recognize the falcon, and so on and so forth. Things fall apart and the center cannot hold. Chinua Achebe wrote that novel in, I think, 1961, before the coup of 1966. So he already saw that the values have been going down. We have been losing the values that hold people together. But between then and now, things have gotten progressively worse. We have had a succession of leaders, of rulers that you can hardly really call leaders, that do not have the tenets, the ingredients that make for leadership, really. I mean, such ingredients, you name some of them, such ingredients as self-sacrifice, concern for the common good, passion for the common good, which is really what patriotism is made of. We have had people who are there out of self-indulgence to promote their own personal or perhaps occasionally group interests, but not the interest of the people, which is why when people get into power, in many cases you see that they become multi-millionaires overnight, but the people get poorer. So you vote people from the village to the House of Representatives to the Senate to this position, and within a few months their circumstances have transformed. They are now sending their children overseas for studies. They have properties overseas. But the people of the village, their circumstances have worsened. So what quality of leadership do we have? And actually, one can really describe what our situation as moral vacuity. I say that it is like the elders are dancing naked in a marketplace, the naked public square. That's what really captures our situation. Young people are scandalized for the uptake time by the behavior of leaders. A situation where you can have 36 governors, and at the end of their reign, maybe 10, 20 of them are facing EFCC charges for corruption. And you know that some of those are true. It's very scandalous. And then a situation where today there is grinding poverty, near destitution of the people, and their leaders are living large. Their circumstances have...
And don't seem to be concerned.
There is... Look... Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart and the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. This was written in 1920 by W.B. Yeats. It's prophetic. It seems as if he was looking at the Nigeria of 2024 when he wrote this in 1920. Things have just fallen apart. Look at the issue of trust between leadership and the led. In the last few days, some videos have gone around about some leaders who fought in public or tried to intimidate poor people. See the reaction of Nigerians. The reaction indicates that, as I have constantly said, the revenge of the poor is at the corner. Because people are getting really angry with the crop of people that rule them.